It has often seemed to me that there is a tendency to exaggerate the difficulty of properly understanding music. We musicians are constantly meeting some honest soul who invariably says in one form or another, "I love music very much, but I don't understand anything about it." My playwright and novelist friends rarely hear anyone say, "I don't understand anything about the theatre or the novel." Yet I strongly suspect that those very same people, so modest about music, have just as much reason to be modest about the other arts, or to put it more graciously, have just as little reason to be modest about their understanding of music. If you have any feelings of inferiority about your musical reactions, try to rid yourself of them. They are often not justified. There is, however, one minimum requirement for the potentially intelligent listener. He must be able to recognize a melody when he hears it. If there is such a thing as being tone deaf, then it suggests the inability to recognize a tune. Such a person has my sympathy, but he cannot be helped, just as the colorblind are a useless lot to a painter. But if you feel confident that you can recognize a given melody, not sing a melody, but recognize it when played, even after an interval of a few minutes, and after other and different melodies have been sounded, the key to a deeper appreciation of music is in your hands. It is insufficient merely to hear music in terms of the separate moments at which it exists. You must be able to relate what you hear at any given moment to what has just happened before and what is about to come afterward. In other words, music is an art that exists in point of time. In that sense, it is like a novel, except that the events of a novel are easier to keep in mind, partly because real happenings are narrated, and partly because one can turn back and refresh one's memory of them. Musical events are more abstract by nature, so that the act of pulling them all together in the imagination is not so easy as reading a novel. That is why it is necessary for you to be able to recognize a tune. For the thing that takes the place of a story in music is, as a rule, the melody. The melody is generally what guides the listener. If you can't recognize a melody on its first appearance and can't follow its peregrinations straight through to its final appearance, I fail to see what you have to go on in listening. You are just vaguely being aware of the music. But recognizing a tune means you know where you are in the music and have a good chance of knowing where you're going. It's the only sine qua non of a more intelligent approach to understanding music. Certain schools of thought are inclined to stress the value for the listener of some practical experience of music. They say, in effect, play Old Black Joe on the piano with one finger, and it will get you closer to the mysteries of music than reading a dozen volumes. No harm can come, certainly, from pecking the piano a bit, or even from playing it moderately well. But as an introduction to music, I'm suspicious of it, if only because of the many pianists who spend their lives playing great works, yet whose understanding of music is on the whole rather weak. As for the popularizers, who first began by attaching flowery stories and descriptive titles to make music easier, and ended by adding doggerel to themes from famous compositions, their solutions for the listener's problems is beneath contempt. No composer believes that there are any shortcuts to the better appreciation of music. The only thing that one can do for the listener is to point out what actually exists in the music itself, and reasonably to explain the wherefore and the why of the matter. The listener must do the rest.